Today, we're jumping into James Clear's powerhouse book, Atomic Habits. The whole idea is pretty simple, but it's also incredibly powerful. Tiny changes can lead to absolutely remarkable results. But the origin of this idea, well, that's a story in itself. It all begins with a moment of just shocking violence.
Yeah, that's the author himself, James Clear, describing the moment that literally changed his life forever. A classmate took a full swing, the bat slipped out of his hands, and it flew right into James's face, striking him directly between the eyes. He has absolutely no memory of the impact itself.
The damage was, it was catastrophic. The collision was so forceful it crushed his nose and sent his brain slamming into the inside of his skull. He had his first seizure, and then he stopped breathing entirely. This wasn't just a bad injury. This was a life-or-death situation.
So this near-fatal accident becomes this completely unlikely catalyst for everything Clear would later discover about habits. His long, painful road to recovery basically became his real-world laboratory, where he tested the very principles that would one day become this book. And his comeback, it wasn't some flashy movie montage, not at all. It was a slow, frustrating grind. He had double vision for weeks. A year later, he gets cut from the varsity baseball team. What a humiliating blow. But when he got to college, he decided to do something different. He stopped focusing on these huge ambitions and instead just focused on tiny, manageable habits. He went to bed early. He kept his room tidy. He started lifting weights. None of this stuff was heroic, but it was consistent. And over 6 years, those small habits compounded, and they transformed him from a seriously injured kid to his university's top athlete.
And this whole experience led him to his first huge revelation: the almost magical power of just getting 1% better every single day. And honestly, the math behind this is kind of staggering.
This right here visualizes what he calls the compound interest of self-improvement. We all do this, right? We dismiss small changes because they just don't feel significant in the moment. But improving by just 1% each day means you'll be over 37 times better by the end of the year. And the flip side is kind of scary. A 1% daily decline brings you almost all the way down to zero. The takeaway is so clear. Your habits are always compounding, whether you like it or not. The only question is, are they compounding for you or against you?
And this isn't just a theory. It's been proven at the highest levels of competition. Back in 2003, British cycling was basically a joke. They'd won a single gold medal in almost 100 years. Then they hired a guy named Dave Brailsford, who brought in a simple philosophy: break down everything you can think of about riding a bike, and then improve each element by just 1%.
And they went to what you might call obsessive lengths. Sure, they improved the bike seats, but they also hired a surgeon to teach the riders the optimal way to wash their hands to avoid getting sick. They tested different massage gels. They even painted the inside of their equipment truck white just to spot tiny specks of dust that could affect bike performance. It was the perfect proof that no gain was too small. And the result? In the decade that followed, they became the most dominant force in the history of cycling.
Okay, so this brings up the obvious question. If this 1% rule is so effective, why do we fail all the time? Why do we start a new habit, stick with it for a few weeks, and then just quit when we don't see those immediate results? We've all been there.
Well, the answer really lies in this graph. We expect our progress to be a nice, neat, straight line. That's the line you see for what you think should happen. But in reality, the most powerful outcomes of any compounding process are delayed. This creates what Clear calls the valley of disappointment. It's that super frustrating period where you're putting in all the work, but the results just haven't shown up yet.
But the key thing to remember here is that your work isn't being wasted. It's being stored. It's like an ice cube. You can heat it from 25 degrees to 30 to 31, and nothing seems to be happening. But all that stored energy is unleashed at 32 degrees. You have to trust that your early efforts are like the stonecutter's first 100 blows. They're all setting the stage for that one final breakthrough.
This brings us to the next really big idea from the book, and it's a fundamental shift in how we should approach progress itself. It's all about focusing on systems instead of goals.
And this contrast is absolutely fundamental. Goals are about the result, win the championship. Systems are the processes. What do we do at practice every day? The big problem with only focusing on goals is that winners and losers often have the exact same goals. Every Olympian wants gold, right? The goal isn't what separates them. The system is. A goal also postpones your happiness until some future moment, but a system lets you feel successful every single time you just execute it.
And this right here is the core takeaway. It's honestly one of the most powerful lines in the entire book. It's not about wanting it more or setting bigger goals. It's about building a better system of habits that makes success pretty much the inevitable outcome.
But there's a level that's even deeper than your systems. And this is probably the most profound idea in all of Atomic Habits. True, lasting change isn't about what you do, it's about who you believe you are.
Clear visualizes this with 3 layers, almost like an onion. The outer layer is your outcomes. That's the results, like losing weight. The middle layer is your processes. That's what you do, like going to the gym. But the core, the deepest layer, is your identity, your beliefs about who you are.
Now, most of us try to change from the outside in. We start with the result we want, and then we try to force the habits that'll get us there. But this often fails because our underlying identity can actually sabotage our best efforts. The most effective way? You have to work from the inside out. Start with who you want to become.
This is explained perfectly with an example. Imagine 2 people are offered a cigarette. The first one says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." This person still sees themselves as a smoker who's just resisting. The behavior feels like a sacrifice. The second person says, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." It's a tiny shift in language, but it reflects a massive shift in identity. For that person, smoking is part of their past life, not their current one. The essential idea is this. Every single habit you perform is like casting a vote for the person you want to be. Going to the gym, even for just 5 minutes, is a vote for "I am a healthy person." Writing just 1 sentence is a vote for "I am a writer." These small actions are how you prove your desired identity to yourself over and over and over again.
Okay, so how do we bring all this together and actually make it work for us? How do you build your very first identity-based atomic habit, starting right now?
Well, it's a simple 2-step process. First, just forget the outcome and decide who you want to be. Do you want to be the type of person who's healthy, who's a consistent writer, who's organized? Be specific about that identity. Then, step 2 is to just prove it to yourself with small, almost laughably easy wins.
Because the goal is never the thing itself. It's not about the marathon. It's about becoming a runner. It's not about writing a novel. It's about becoming a writer. When your behavior and your identity are finally aligned, you're not even pursuing behavior change anymore. You're simply acting like the type of person you already believe you are.
And so, the question this explainer really leads us with isn't what do you want to achieve, it's who do you want to become. So think about that. And then think about the one single, tiny, atomic action you can take today to cast one small vote for that future self.